If you're in the market for a luxury SUV with a budget of around 3 crore rupees, you're probably not flicking stones in the middle of the day. You're probably wondering where is the nearest Range Rover dealership or what color combination goes best with the Mercedes Maybach GLS 600. But what if you're not one of those people? What if you don't want a car that half of Bollywood has? What if you're someone who doesn't say come let's go to a party but instead says come join my party? Well, if you're that, then you have a very serious option on the cards right now. This right here is the 2.8 crore rupees Lexus LX 500D. It is Japan's answer to the Luxobaj from the West, and it is a very solid one. Now at this price, you might think there are far better SUVs out there. A lot of them are even cheaper that offer a greater sense of luxury, that offer a greater sense of arrival, a lot more features as well. What is the point of this? Why does it have such a high desirability rate? Why do people absolutely run behind these cars, and why are they sold out quite often? Well, let's start with the first thing that absolutely gets everybody. It is the design. A single glance isn't enough for the LX. Measuring over 5 meters in length and with a width of almost 2 meters, you need to step a fair bit back to get a complete look. As with previous iterations, it is clear that the LX is a sister SUV to the Toyota Land Cruiser. But this time, Lexus designers have been given a bit more of a free hand. The front is unapologetic with a massive grille that will give modern BMWs an inferiority complex. The sharp LED headlamps on either side look like holstered knives, and the indented bonnet with strong power lines adds some more muscle. Seeing this front end in your rearview mirror will make you jump out of your lane. The profile is equally bonkers with massive 22-inch wheels elevating this SUV above the rest, and strong lines and creases that look sharp. The rear quarter is also striking to look at with a thick rising chrome band at the D-pillar, and it is only at the back where things simmer down. The simple LED tail lamps are conjoined and there is very little drama to speak of. However, the tall and boxy look gives it a heightened stance and adds hugely to the road presence. However, as striking as it is on the outside, the inside is a different story. Now, getting inside the LX is not really easy. It's not a simple walk-in. You have quite a bit of height here, and it's not like you get a fancy electronic side step. It's a fixed side step. You step on it, grab the handle and haul yourself inside as though it's a truck. But once you're in, oh, the sense of space is simply amazing. There's just so much room, and even though this doesn't have a fancy panoramic sunroof, you don't really feel cramped or hemmed in. It really is very, very nice. The other thing that you will notice immediately are how comfortable the seats are. They are nice and broad, very well cushioned, 10-way adjust for the driver. You also get a nice amount of under-thigh support for the driver, electronically adjustable. It really makes a big difference, especially on long drives. The seats also gets heating and ventilation for the front and the rear two seats. The other thing is the dashboard layout, which is completely new for a Lexus. It doesn't feel like an old dated car anymore. It is nice and modern. It has wireless Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto, but then again, it also has all the other functionality, nice and slick, very responsive. Then you have a smaller screen down there, which basically controls the off-road systems, and you also can adjust the temperature. However, the temperature controls also have physical switches, which is absolutely essential and is a huge convenience, especially when you're on the road. Below that are the off-road controls. You have DAC, which is downhill assist control. You have a crawl function. You can obviously change your drive mode, and you have multi-terrain select as well. Now, of course, these cars won't really be going hardcore off-roading at that price especially, but if you choose to do so, it will definitely do it for you. Permanently in 4-wheel high, but when you get into a sticky situation, 4-wheel low will pretty much get you out of anything. On this center console also are other buttons. You have your diff lock, traction control, and your ride height adjust as well. Now, these buttons are pretty much Toyota, because if you see the overall layout, it is quite a lot of Lexus, because you have these beautiful aluminum bits merging with this tan interior. You have this polished wood, but then of course you have those Toyota type plastics. Now they aren't really knurled, they aren't crystal, they aren't metallic like you have on its rivals, but you just get the sense that this interior is grenade proof. It is absolutely built to last and you can get quite rugged with it. The other cool bit, pun intended, is the cooler box. Opens from the passenger side and the driver's side, which is a neat trick to show off. And it is quite deep as well, holds 2 big bottles, and it does cool them quite hard because you don't really have to struggle. It's almost like a fridge in here. In terms of driving position, you are towering above the rest of the pack, but visibility is excellent with large windows and electronically adjustable steering to find the perfect driving spot. What does feel dated is the digital instrument cluster, since the competition has heavily stepped up their game. Now getting in the rear is the same story, not the easiest. Climb, hold and hurl yourself in. And once you're in, space is not really incredible because this seat was set to my driving position and I tried getting in. So if your chauffeur likes to sit in a leisurely manner, he's going to have to make that adjustment. But once there's a little bit of movement and a little bit of adjustment, space is decent. Headroom is not an issue at all, and width is never a problem with a Lexus LX because it is just so wide, almost 2 meters wide. Now in terms of seat comfort, this isn't the best seat on the market. You have the GLS Maybach with those lounge-like seats, the Range Rover as well. They are first-class cabin seats. Cushioning on the rear seat is good and the backrest can be reclined as well. However, the seat cannot slide back for more legroom and under-thigh support is limited too. Abroad, Lexus does offer an ultra-luxury trim which gets you captain seats that are worthy of the competition, but sadly the India spec version does not get that option. Rear entertainment screens are a standard fit that get HDMI support along with a fantastic 25-speaker Mark Levinson audio system, and you also have dual zone climate control along with ventilation and heated seats at the rear. Traditionally, LX owners have always found themselves in the front passenger seat. That is somehow become the boss seat in the LX, and well, maybe it's the individuality, maybe it's the comfort of an individual seat. Owners often sit there and not here. Now, in terms of a third row, there isn't one, but instead you get a very large boot. The massive boot space is perfect for long drives with a spare wheel tucked under the car, and you also have a 3-pin socket back here to power appliances. So it's bold on the styling and tough on the inside, but what's it like to drive? The engine is a 3.3-litre twin-turbo V6, 308 horsepower, 7. So plenty of torque out there, plenty of grunt. This car never really struggles, and what's also nice is the refinement. It's smooth. What's not nice though is the gruffness that you have from the diesel engine, because you flex your foot even slightly and that diesel drone just kicks in, and you're just not used to, because all the other cars in this segment mostly are petrol. Even if they are not, people tend to buy the petrol version because they want that smooth refinement. They don't want anything disturbing the cabin's peace. But with this car, that is a bit of an issue. It does growl a fair bit. Mated to the engine is a 10-speed automatic gearbox that is a close ratio unit, meaning the transmission keeps the car in the meat of the power band, and off-the-line responses are improved as well. However, if you want even more control, you can shift the lever into manual and then make use of these lovely metallic paddle shifters. Now I know it's a big heavy SUV, you don't really feel that much of an engagement while driving it, but just using these metallic paddles is so satisfactory. What the LX also gets are drive mode, and quite a few of them between Eco, Normal, Comfort. There's a Sport S and a Sport S Plus. Of course, there's an individual mode as well, which lets you alter and configure the settings according to your liking. But Sport S Plus, I mean, let's try that out right now. And immediately, the engine is more responsive, the gearbox is more responsive, and of course, that drone has been amplified. You have a bit of that grumble seeping through, but it's not too bad. However, this is not a car you'd often have in Sport S Plus, because even in its sportiest setting, it feels very heavy, especially around the corners. It's not something you'll enjoy driving on a winding section of road. And as unimportant as it is on this SUV, a 0 to 100 kph time of 8 seconds which is mighty quick for what and how big it is. But what's even more impressive on the LX is the way it rides. Now when you have 22-inch wheels on a car, you expect the ride to be a bit firm. The profile is not that high either. However, on this car, it is a different story altogether. Bumps, potholes, no question at all. If you do manage to unsettle this car, then know that it wasn't really a pothole, it was a big crater, because potholes are not felt. The 265/50 tires are chunky enough to flatten almost everything beneath them, and the inherently soft setup means the bump absorption remains consistently good. Speaking of the suspension, should you feel like taking it off the tarmac, the suspension can be raised significantly from its stock ground clearance of 205 mm. And at your own risk, you can get quite adventurous with this big beast. Thanks to the new TNGA F platform, it is a good 200 kg lighter than its predecessor, but it still feels cumbersome, especially in traffic. The heavy steering and lack of rear wheel steering means 3-point turns and parking requires a bit of muscle. To sum it up, the LX doesn't fare well in many areas compared to its rivals from the West. It isn't as special on the inside, it doesn't have many of the features seen on the rivals, it lacks the same level of rear seat comfort, it isn't particularly great to drive, and it is one of the priciest. And yet, there is a high demand and respect for it in India. Obviously, the Chief Minister also has this car, so does the Deputy Chief Minister and many other party heads as well. So definitely a politician's car, especially in India. Well, it has a lot to do with its image, which in turn is defined by the customers. And the big one is that it is a byword for reliability, which is one area where it truly outshines its counterparts from the West. Yes, it is a steep ask at 2.8 crore rupees, but then it also holds its value extremely well and will last an eternity. It is an SUV that if you just diligently service, can be a family heirloom that is passed on for generations.